You're listening to Sister Stargazers, celestial and terrestrial observations and advice from two real-life sisters.
Welcome, fellow Stargazers. Your sisters are in the house. Hi, Jude.
Hi, Sarah.
I'm excited because we were just chatting before we started recording, and I feel like we have a lot of synchronicities in this week happening already.
Yeah. Already, just in talking about it.
Episode 107. It's looking at Sunday, September 24th through Saturday, September 30th. We've just entered Libra. There's a full moon this week. Take it away.
Yeah, we also have Venus conjunct Juno, which is kind of exciting.
Yes.
So Juno's another feminine archetype of partnership.
Yeah.
You know, she's also a Hera in the Greek mythology. Juno is Jupiter's wife or partner in the Roman mythology. But Juno is about what's fair, what's right, what's balanced in relationship. And she especially represents relationship between partners, right? So Venus conjunct Juno can bring in a fair amount of a renewal of energy for a partnership.
Nice.
There's a lot of grand trines this week and more than a few squares plus this Aries full moon.
Yeah.
So we can start on Sunday the 24th, late in the day, but it's building all day. The sun is going to quincunx Saturn. So the sun was just in an opposition to Saturn at the end of August. Saturn's at its brightest. It's opposing the sun. The Earth is right in the middle. So it's like a full moon, only with Saturn standing in for the moon. The expression of it is like very Saturn. So Saturn has moved from being in the kind of the full moon position over to the quincunx position, which is 150 degrees, which is just slightly off. So it's not an opposition, it's not a trine. So the quincunx is this kind of squeaky wheel where it's kind of pushing you to take notice and also, get stuff done, but have some patience. So you might want to be, really going at something, but be steady, be patient. There might be obstacles. The quincunx is something that sometimes throws obstacles or is responsible for, putting you in a position to make some tough choices. That's, something isn't quite clear. That's the quincunx. So the sun is in Libra, early Libra, making a quincunx up to Saturn in Pisces. So our feeling nature, we're trying to get a hold of them. The sun is like wanting to be able to, not so much objectify those emotions, but not so much express them either. The sun in Libra is kind of measured with their emotions. They're very rational. Yeah. Saturn is trying to be like, trying to hold it together, but there's a lot of feelings up in Pisces that are unconscious, maybe ancestral, that we're working through as planets make aspects to Saturn up there in Pisces, in the early degrees of Pisces. So this quincunx is really trying to help us navigate through our feelings. Yeah. So be patient with yourself as feelings come up that you might not know what to do with. Yeah. The sun will then make a trine to Pluto, and that will make a trine to Sedna. So sun in early degrees of Libra, Pluto late degrees of Capricorn, trine. So there's a little bit of it's kind of it's called an out of sign trine, where you've got an late degree Earth placement with a early degree other planet, in this case, sun placement. Right. So it's a flow, but it's not as harmonious as both planets being in the same element. Right. But then you have that trine kick in from the sun up to Sedna, and that's in air, that's in Gemini. So it's this Earth-air trine. Okay. There's potential with this trine to bring things in and ground them. Okay. And it could be really helpful as you're trying to navigate with Pluto retrograde some of the old habits, the old ways that maybe you're reviewing but aren't working so well. Great. So you've got to make a change. So the sun trine Sedna, trine Pluto, the air is offering new ideas, especially with Sedna being the furthest out dwarf planet that we have identified, is bringing in these fresh perspectives. Her orbit is 11,600 years around the sun. So that will take us back to like the Ice Age.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Coming out of the caves, the Neolithic period. We're coming out of the caves. We're starting to farm. So this might be like these are new ideas coming in about how society might be structured or how we might be relating to each other. Because it's so close to the equinox, this is also part of the equinox picture that we talked about last week.
Yeah.
This idea of fresh, new, something new coming in.
Yeah.
Mercury is reclaiming ground from this retrograde period. Mercury's still in Virgo, but it's now direct. It's making its second pass, making a trine to Jupiter. So the first pass was when it was retrograde. Now it's coming forward again. It's making a trine up to Jupiter. Jupiter's in Taurus. So this again is an Earth trine, good judgment, taking in the big picture, taking time for speculative thought. And positive action, because this is a positive communication. And there's an interest in learning, an interest in teaching because Jupiter's involved. Maybe because Jupiter's up in Taurus, maybe new forms of income might be discussed. Maybe a rearrangement or a new responsibilities, developing a new job description, for example, with Mercury in Virgo. The first pass of this happened during the first week of September when Mercury was retrograde. So you can look back to the first week in September and see what might have transpired during that time, see if there's anything like new ideas that came in that maybe you weren't able to like take action on because you still there's still missing pieces of the information that you needed. Now it's going to be a good time to rethink all that. Now you should have more of the big picture. So that's a really good thing. That happens Monday, the 25th, Mercury reclaiming ground, making a trine to Jupiter.
Nice.
Tuesday, the moon ingresses Pisces and conjuncts Saturn. So this again is acknowledging those feelings that might have been coming up on Sunday, the 24th, with the sun quincunx Saturn. Saturn's in Pisces for a while, 2 years. So this is a time to acknowledge your feelings. Make sure to give them space and time for vetting, not so much venting. Okay. So there's a little bit of wordsmithing there, but vetting is typically you're taking or acknowledging, you're giving credit where credit is due. You're not venting. You're not like spewing out, right?
Yeah. Placing them appropriately.
Yes, exactly. And acknowledgement, like, okay, I feel that. So what do I do with it now? As we move through the week, the moon carries on.
Always
carries on. The moon makes its way through Pisces and then it enters into Aries.
So exciting.
Where we have a full moon almost at the Aries point, which is, so it's not at the Aries point. I want to stress that. It's at 6 degrees, 0 minutes, Aries. The full moon, 5:57 a.m., so just about 6 a.m. on Friday morning, the 29th.
Eastern time.
The moon is at 6 degrees, 00 minutes in Aries, and the sun is over at 6 degrees, 00 minutes Libra. So you have, again, this kind of moon feeling nature, the individual feeling nature, and then the sun is in Libra. How do we fit into a group? At this full moon, even though it's ruled by Mars, I find this so interesting because Mars governs Aries. So you would think that this full moon is like got a lot of spin around, going for it. But this moon actually stars Venus.
Stars? Oh, you mean just like featuring Venus?
Yes, it's starring Venus. Okay. It's featuring Venus. And I'm saying that because Venus is making a square to Uranus. And so this can signify, and Venus also rules Libra, where the sun is.
Okay.
So Venus square Uranus, there might be a possibility for something just to drop out of the sky, a creative person, a project, something suddenly comes to light.
Okay.
There might be some tension, or it might be a point of growth for you.
Okay.
Like you might think, I could never do that. But it's like, of course you could. Your path is
Right.
unpredictable. I could never go there. Of course you could. Go with the flow. That's really, really important. And at this full moon, Venus conjuncts Juno.
Right.
Makes a trine to the north node, Aries and Chiron. That's why I'm saying this full moon stars Venus.
Okay.
And then makes a sextile to Mars, south node, and Haumea.
Okay.
So this whole thing about relating and partnering and future orientation.
Okay.
Also, this whole idea of this partnership having a cause, having a point of healing, and getting fueled by Mars.
Okay.
Venus is sextiling Mars, the south node, and Haumea, which we've talked about in our previous podcast as being the points that they're just at the end of Libra, and they're just about releasing old ways of relating. So this full moon, I think, is going to be able to bring in fresh perspectives about how an individual can relate to each other, yes, but also how a person relates to the world.
Yeah.
And really taking in their authority in a way. I can also read the Sabian symbol.
Yeah, let's read the Sabian symbol for it. And then how do you do that if it's 6 degrees 0? Is it 6 degrees or is it 7 degrees?
This is just me. They always say if it's right on 6, you still kick it up to 7.
Oh, interesting.
But I'm like, you're like, why? What's the harm in reading both?
There you go. Let's see.
Yeah.
It feels like it's on that line.
It's on that line. And they all, the way that Dane Rudyard interprets these is that they all kind of feed into each other.
Yeah. There's a story that progresses through the degrees.
Yes. So there might be something that's really pertinent around that story. So here's 6 degrees Aries, a square with one of its sides brightly illuminated. Wow. And the keynote, Dane Rudyard says, is the emotional desire for concrete and stabilized existence as a person.
Okay.
So it's about this desire for individualization, which operates at first as a one-sided or one-pointed drive, focusing itself upon an exclusive goal.
Yeah.
All emotions are at first possessive, and all cultural manifestations operate on the principle of exclusion.
Oh, okay.
This is about that Aries Libra axis.
Individual. Yep.
All that does not, I'm flipping the page, belong to the tribal sphere, one blood, one land, one folk, is the potential enemy.
Oh, yeah.
This is a necessary pause for, as in the case of the woman emerging from the sea, the first attempt at building an inner realization of integral being may be defeated at any time by the regressive pull towards undifferentiation and the prenatal state of non-individualization within the vast womb of nature or within unformed cosmic space.
There you go. That seems like the North Node, South Node dynamic as well.
Yes, and you pulled.
I did. So should we do my card between the Sabian symbols? Right. So I asked for a card for this week and I didn't even realize it was a full moon, but I used the Divine Feminine Oracle deck by Megan Watterson, and it's the last card in her sequence. It's the Cosmic Egg. It's the energy of the Divine Feminine. And if I could just read what she suggests here, when your soul selects this card, nothing needs to happen. Everything is exactly as it should be. You hold the universe inside you. All life emerges from within. If you try to exert pressure for something to exist before it's ready, that new life within you won't have the time it needs to fully form. The cosmic egg is the essence of the divine feminine. It is the ultimate symbol of the creative force that exists within each one of us. It's the dark, loving womb that holds and protects all creative expressions of life. If we allow what's within us to emerge in divine timing, in kairos or soul time, then what's within us will transform us. The egg is the trust that what is ours can never be taken from us. So there's no need to answer the ego's push to rush the process, to impress others, or to complete something on someone else's timeline. The egg is the faith that our process is sacred. And then the intention is I hold the universe within me. I am the force of an ever expanding love.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
How can you follow up on that?
I'm really curious how the Sabian symbol can bookend it.
Okay. So here's Aries 7.
Yeah.
A person succeeds in expressing themselves simultaneously in two realms.
Oh my gosh.
Keynote: the first realization of the dual nature of man and of the possibilities it implies.
Wow.
This symbol represents the antithesis of the symbol pictured in phase 6.
I can add, too, that the very last thing she says about the egg, Megan Watterson, in her Divine Feminine Oracle deck is that even in the midst of what looks like chaos or delay or even death, there's a tendril of new life that needs only our trust to eventually take form. And the egg is the knowing that life begins again after death from within. And I wanted to throw in here that why I find this so exciting with this Aries full moon is that Aries is the start of the new astrological year that's associated with spring equinoxes and beginnings. And it's that Easter time, the rebirth time. So I just love the synchronicities when they fall in place like this.
Yeah, that's really beautiful.
Wow.
So that's a lot. I mean,
what do we do? What do we do with all that?
I think that whole idea of going with the flow.
Yeah.
That is so important now.
Divine timing.
Because we may have a tendency with this moon in Aries to push. There might be a tendency to push because Mars, will be ruling this lunation.
Right.
Because the moon is in Aries. But this lunation really is starring Venus.
Which I love because that is the duality that the card speaks about too, is with the option, we have Venus, archetypal creative feminine power, Mars, archetypal masculine power, letting Venus have this rule right now, as divine feminine, as Empress energy versus leaning into the push, gotta do. Like, how can we serve our divine feminine within us?
Exactly. Yeah. And with this conjunction to Juno,
right?
How can we partner? Can we find the people that we need to support what we're doing?
Yes.
Can we support each other in how we move forward? I think that's going to be really key.
Yeah. And it's still part of that equinox picture too, right? It's not like it's going to come with this new moon and go away. It's sort of like the gathering of energy of how to move forward through this season.
Yeah, because the equinox just happened.
Right.
A few, what was it? A week before.
Yeah.
At that time, Venus was square Jupiter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And now it's square Uranus in Taurus. Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus are both kind of within orb of their conjunction, which is going to happen next spring.
Wow.
The first week in April. So there might be seeds that we start now.
Yes. Yep.
That will, people that we meet now might be helpful later on.
Yeah.
You can't figure it all out right now. You can't know where it's going to lead.
Right.
That's part of it.
That's that incubation time as well. The incubating egg.
There's one more aspect.
Yes. Let's do it.
Saturday, September 30th, Mercury in Virgo is going to trine Uranus in Taurus. So this is a Earth trine. So you think about all the qualities of Earth, right? It's solid. It supports you. It's practical. It's not going to just fly away.
It has a foundation. It's solid. It feels grounded.
All of that. It's just going to be available to you. All that kind of energy to ground in some ideas. So this is intensity of mind. It's experimental in nature. And it might be the expression of radical or unusual points of view. Also, you might be coming to understand something that you didn't before.
Okay.
All of a sudden, like the heavens open up and Uranus is like, floating down little bits of stuff, like, wow, I never saw it that way.
Yeah.
So there's an inventiveness around this full moon as well.
Ah, love it.
It's all good.
Yay. It is all good.
Yeah.
Listeners, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your emails. You can write us at connect@sisterstargazers.com. Monday night, 7 p.m. at WMPG.org, 90.9 FM for a 30-minute astrological deep dive. And thank you, Jude. That was such a wonderful look at the week.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah.
Very good.
Think about your eggs.
That's it. All right. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Sister Stargazers. Let us know what worked for you this week. Find us on Facebook and post a comment at Sister Stargazers.